I am beyond thrilled and excited to have my very good friend Alex from Travel Fashion Girl here with us on the podcast. Alex, you are amazing. Welcome.
Lisa, I'm so excited to be here. We've been trying to get together for months and months, and I'm so thrilled to be here today with you. Thank you so much for having me.
So, for people that don't know, Alex and I have been friends since 2012. We actually met when she was living in Thailand in the travel blogger think tank house. And that was really the beginning. Like my website started in 2010, so it was early in my website. And you were very involved in early internet evolving social. It was like almost before social. I mean, we met because you tweeted at me.
Yeah, don't I remember when I started Travel Fashion Girl, I was always on Twitter and really that was the main sort of the original place I met people. And I think you were I was following you, probably was following your blog and your social, and you're like, oh, I'm in Hua Hin, I think maybe.
Yep.
And then
Good
you're like,
memory.
I have a horrible memory, so that's impressive. And then you're like, I don't know where to go next. And I'm like, well, come to Koh Samui. This is where I am. You're like, okay. I'm like, oh, wow, that's cool.
I remember another fact. So, about Twitter, at first, I wasn't really sure. I mean, remember, this is 2012. I wasn't sure if it did anything. And not only did you tweet, come to Koh Samui, you invited me that you'd interview me for Travel Fashion Girl.
That's true. I had just launched Travel Fashion Girl, I think probably like the month or 2 months before you came. And I was doing an interview series on the blog, kind of showcasing different travelers, like not just fashion styles, but like how they packed, what they packed. I used to love that. That's like the origin of how I started Travel Fashion Girls, interviewing people on the road. So you were one of the people that I interviewed literally on the road.
I loved that you thought I had fashion style. I was so excited. I was like, I'll change all my plans to meet this woman. And we've been friends ever since. And you grew Travel Fashion Girl from an idea to an enormous community. So tell people what about Travel Fashion Girl, because I think one of the early things was the packing list.
Yes. So the reason why Travel Fashion Girl existed was because I'd been backpacking essentially for like 5 years long term at that point. And I was so tired of packing all the wrong things and overpacking and whatever. And I just wanted to pack lighter. So I just started interviewing people on the road, other travelers like you, and finding out, well, what did you pack? How did you pack? Are you happy with what you brought? Whatever, and there was information that I didn't find online. You'd go to some forums and you'd look at the packing list per se, and it was really driven towards I think like a male hiker almost at that point. And I talked about many times, where someone's like, pack 3 quick dry tees, a pair of cargo pants that turn into shorts, and 3 pairs of underwear that you can flip inside out to get more wear out of them. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, come on. I remember looking at these like packing tips from people in forums, again, not websites, and I didn't find any resources that could help me. And I was trying to figure out, well, how can I do this? So the packing lists, and they still really are the bread and butter. Even the Travel Fashion Girls evolved. It really is, the we can't you have to, in order to pack efficiently, you got to have packing lists. In order to have the right packing list, you got to know what to pack. You got to understand your destination and all the things. And that's expanded so much now. But yeah, it all started with packing lists and how to pack, and now the community is growing and growing further.
The community is huge, and now you have products. So tell people about your amazing Compass Rose packing cubes.
Well, I was actually talking about this morning. The community is massive. I think what started back then, it was like you said, I was just creating a website with packing lists and packing tips, and I started a Facebook group in December 2013. So it's been over a decade. Oh my God, it's like I didn't even realize that we hit like a decade last year for the group. And it just sort of grew, and this community grew. And throughout that, we've really, it's always been, the business has grown tremendously, and it's always been because I've really listened to what the readers wanted, what the community wanted. And one of the So actually, this is my latest product. I actually have it here. The Compass Rose, like the Compass Rose travel accessories luggage scale. I'm like just like trying to take pictures of it yesterday. It's sitting on.
Oh, say that again. It's a luggage scale?
Yeah, it's a luggage scale.
Oh,
I
that's
think
brilliant.
you can just weigh yours out. And yeah, I'm trying to show it to you here. But literally, this is one of our latest products. And I started Compass Rose Travel Accessories out of the need again, because there weren't the products that were out there in 2013, 14, 15 weren't what I needed, what people needed, right? And so I started the product line with, of course, packing cubes, with my slim packing cubes, and reimagine them a little bit. Obviously, they're still packing cubes. I mean, what are packing organizers, they're all
But
pretty
yours
much
have numbers.
very similar. Well, the I kind of changed things up with mine because I should have used the reason why Travel Fashion Girl became really sort of made a name for itself in packing is I made a really poorly filmed YouTube video back in 2013, and it was on how I packed carry on only for full time travel. And I used another brand's packing cubes, but I didn't use packing cubes the way they were marketed by companies, which is to organize clothing, right? I used them, yes, to organize, but also compress the clothing. So I devised my like packing technique. So when I reimagined what the best packing cube would look like, obviously you need the best materials, things that are not going to rip. So all of my materials for the Compass Rose Travel Accessories packing cubes are super like hardcore, like way too intense, but I wanted to make sure they were going to be durable, right? Like you can put as much as you wanted in there and they were going to close and zip and not tear, like with other products that I've tested. And then also, they weren't the right size. So because I was traveling carry-on only, all the packing cubes were too large for carry-on. Nobody travels carry-on only, at least at that point. Who did that? So they were all too large. They're meant for regular size suitcases. So that was the other major difference, is that I fixed the size, made them specifically to fit the carry-on size. Even now that I have my larger packing cubes, they're still meant to fit perfectly in a carry-on. And in addition to that, let's make them more functional. And I color coded and added numbers, so that way really the functionality, the ways that I use packing cubes myself, but now let's make it official and customize a product. And really, again, this all came from my personal needs, whether it was a website or the products like the cubes. But really also the products that we developed were things that the community wanted, like the travel adapter, which I've also just relaunched and I have around here somewhere. But I asked them back then, what do you want? What do you want us to produce? What are the products that you need? And then we did our best to make them happen and continue to do so now.
But we should also mention that before you were living in Thailand and before you were backpacking, you worked in the fashion world.
I did. That is my background. I worked in for the second largest or the first largest, I don't know anymore, but it was like this massive company in the fashion industry. And I worked there for like 5 or 6 years before I quit my corporate job and went traveling. So I do have that experience. And as a long-term traveler back in the day, before like people were like traveling with laptops and working remotely and nomads or whatever, I was trying to figure out how to travel long term and like how do I keep going? And back then, like, oh, sell jewelry on the go and bake cookies. If you like use your skills to then, offer your services to other people. I'm like, I have no skills. I don't know how to do anything. But somehow with
Yes. You know a lot. And I'm going to put a link in the notes to the video that we made together in 2012 when we went to the best lasagna in Thailand with the travel blogger think tank. So, two things are very memorable for me about you, of the many, because we've been friends a long time. We've seen each other in many countries. So, one is that you wanted to interview me about fashion, which was a shock for me. And I did wear my shirt with stars because you made me feel like a star when you invited me to speak at Women's Travel Fest, and that made me an international speaker because the conference was in Mexico. So tell people about this incredible conference where you bring women together, you empower people. Women's Travel Fest is connected to Travel Fashion Girl, but also separate. So how can people join either of your communities? But let's talk about Women's Travel Fest because it's coming to LA. That's where I am. It's in March. It's your conference. It's more than a decade now, Women's Travel Fest. So thank you for making me an international speaker and tell us more about it.
Well, thank you so much for coming, Lisa. That's so sweet. I love it. I love how you incorporate fashion into your emotion and feeling and having me here today. So thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so Women's Travel Fest is has been going on for over a decade. And like I was saying before, I've really kind of always done what makes sense for the community. And in 2019, I started holding in-person meetups. And it was really sort of the next level I was looking at is starting a conference for my community. And then 2020 happened, and one thing led to another. I found at the Women's Travel Fest, which was had been running for a decade already at that point, was going to be sold to somebody. And I said, "Oh no, that one, I love this conference. It's such a special space. And two, well, I wanted to have a conference for the travel fashion girl community. Why not combine the two and may be able to continue this this beautiful space that Kelly Lewis, the previous owner, had created. I didn't want to lose that. It was so special. And then bring it, then it kind of like I can bring together that wonderful community and help it, keep going and thriving. And then have a place for my travel fashion girl community and kind of merge it together. So I had this vision, and last year or this year was the first year I did it on my own. It was in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. Lisa was a speaker. Thank you so much for coming over there and talking about how to be a PR maven, which you absolutely are. And it was a wonderful experience. And next year for 2025, it's going to be in LA, where I'm from. So, and it's never actually been in LA before, so that's also pretty exciting. And it's March 7th to 9th, 2025. I can't wait, and hopefully you'll be there as well, and I'll get a chance to see you. And that'll be your third Women's Travel Fest because you came to the one in New York in 2023 to support me. And I'm like, Lisa, you have to be there. Please be here. I can't tell you why it's so important for you to be here, but you have to, because nobody knew that we were going to be, Kelly was going to be handing the torch over to me, and we were going to announce that I was the taking over Women's Travel Fest in New York. So thank you for being there, Lisa.
Well, but I think that's one of the things that you're discussing is that people need community. And you and I have been together through engagements, weddings, divorces. Now you're a new mom. So that's another piece of one of the plates you're juggling is raising your child in two countries and traveling. And I think that it's incredible as a business owner. I think you've been speaking as an entrepreneur. You're showing people how to show up. It's very impressive. So I think we just have to take a breath and be like, Alex is awesome. And for people listening, I'd love if you could speak for a moment because I know that you've been very honest in your writing and on social media that there have been struggles and challenges. So maybe a lot of people, especially you mentioned, you had the meetups and then it was 2020, which is of course the global pandemic. It happened to all of us. It impacted us in travel just like every other field. So with struggles, which we all have, is there something that you turn to? Is there what helps you in these challenging times to not quit? Because that's the way you get somewhere is I always say, fall down 7, get up 8. That like how do you what refreshes you? What helps you think, okay, tomorrow I'll try again?
Wow, that's like the worst question ever, Lisa. It's so hard to answer.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm just being sarcastic. The it's a challenging question for a million reasons. I think I do a really it's yeah, it is challenging. I think a
But do you have
lot
a mentor or you have a mastermind support team or you hired another person? Like, is there a strategy that helped you that other people could access?
Ultimately, really, it's a community. So it goes back to that. I'd love if there was like a personal, like, yeah, I do all these things like on a personal level for myself to refresh me. That's the part I was like, this is the worst question ever, because I still feel like a new mom and entrepreneur and like investor and all these things that I do. I'm like, I'm so bad at
Wait, okay,
refreshing
hold
myself.
on. Can I reflect back to you what I think you do? Would that help? So
Okay.
I noticed that one of the things you did for Travel Fashion Girl, I mean for Women's Travel Fest, was that you had a lot of things that were very grounding. There was music, there was journaling, you brought in experts to help, and then I noticed that you took yourself after the major conference to a new location. You went to Japan and stayed in a capsule hotel. And I thought that for me, I imagined watching you do that that really shifted your perspective, like, "Oh, yeah, I do love traveling. I can still go on my own."
Yes, there you go, traveling. Traveling is refreshing and rejuvenating, just a little more challenging to get up and go nowadays, but yes, that was very necessary, and obviously that's what's helped me. Well, that's traveling is what I was passionate about, right? That's how I ended up a travel fashion girl on the journey, and inspiring people to travel, and that's also what Women's Travel Fest is about. And it is about coming together for the love of travel and the impact that travel has, and that's a great reminder of how much I need travel in my life, because it has such an impact on me and rejuvenate me. I feel like
Hold
I
hold on, you
literally,
you cut out for 1 second.
travel, I feel like my
Alex,
spark really dim.
you froze for a second, so say that part
Yeah,
again, that
can you
that
hear me?
traveling restores you. Come back, we had the internet went a little wonky.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I forgot. I think because traveling is so much more challenging right now for me to do as a relatively still new mom, it is really restorative. That's what rejuvenates me. That's what refreshes me. And really, with the messaging, is at least with the conference, the theme for the Women's Travel Fest in Playa del Carmen was the impact of how travel can, how it can help. How can help us as individuals, how it's not just about going, taking some pictures in front of a shrine and posting them on social media. It's so much more, in allowing travel to actually have its impact, how it can impact you by being present and giving it that opportunity. And you're right. Because I don't get to do it all the time, because I kind of almost on a personal level feel like it has to be something I do every single day, like a meditation or yoga or something. But if it's travel, I travel, it lights me up. Without it, it feels like my spark is really dimmed. With travel, for me to take off and travel alone this year was a massive thing, being able to really rejuvenate my soul. And that's sort of what I wanted to share with people through the music and the journaling, and helping people at the conference this past year be present and be able to experience that. The things that used to make me feel so good about traveling around the time when I met you, when I would still travel, when I would still travel with a journal and journal on the go, and really I would be disconnected because I didn't have a job online, right? I didn't have a reason to be online. It was wonderful just to kind of float around the world, and I still do when I travel on my own. I do that. That's why I know, but I don't really share my travels online, because I'm just enjoying them, being present. And that's how I refuel myself. But what keeps me going from a business perspective, for business and other things, it really is the community. It's building these things for the community, whether it's products or or the information that we show on Travel Fashion Girl in 2020. We really, obviously, like you said, everybody was devastated, but a part of the reason why Travel Fashion Girl came out of 2020 and came back stronger is that we listened to the community, what they wanted from us, how we could help them so they could help us. And in this case, now it moves on to the next part of Travel Fashion Girl, which we're going to be announcing in hopefully soon, officially launching our new community that's off of Facebook. It's going to be a new private community, and that's a really big deal. It's something that I would have never thought about doing something that scared is always kind of, also kind of not, it scared me, but really something that that wasn't in my plans at all, but the community asked for it this year, due to, like you mentioned, some issues that we've encountered as a business, with Google and Amazon and Facebook over the past year. So the solution to that was given to me by the readers. And they said they want a community, they want to continue on. And it's humbling to know that, me starting a website about packing, how to pack, what to wear, it really became something so much deeper with people that love it. And it just became so much larger than that, something more meaningful. So that's what motivates me, is being able to, I don't know, to celebrate the love of travel and how it can impact you with others as well.
And I think a great follow-up from that is the speakers you selected for Women's Travel Fest really went deep. Like, I loved the conversation you had with, I can't think of the other woman's name right now, about being moms and your travel style, and I loved that basically whatever you said, she was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm the opposite." And that there was this big space for how women business owners who are mothers of young children have a variety of ways. There's no cookie cutter. And I also love that you really, I know that you are so good at encouraging and promoting that, the Latina Travel Fest, you're a big supporter of, and that it's not a competition, that that conference is very important and a different piece, that I think that collaboration and the deepness of feelings that you created this space for was really impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. There's space for all of us to support each other in travel as women. Um, there's enough room for all of us. And at the end of the day, for me, it's connecting people and giving them a platform, giving you a platform, giving other speakers a platform, a space to be seen, to have their messages shared, their experience, and it is to go deeper within yourself, because we had to have these honest conversations. At this point, I'm an open book. Like, really, I just will tell anybody anything. It doesn't, I have like no shame at this point. I think I'm not embarrassed. I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. It is who I am. It's just like, I don't really have anything to hide from you. But being able to have those conversations are so important, and being able to use travel as a vehicle for growth and to share truths and to connect with others. It's important. And there's a variety, like you said, the way she travels isn't the way I travel. The way she mothers isn't the way that I mother. We're completely different people. And likewise, there is a travel community for everybody, because not everyone's going to resonate with the same thing, or maybe some communities will just speak a little bit, to someone differently, but we can all uplift each other. I'd love to be able to continue working alongside and supporting other owners of other leaders of travel communities as well. My main thing is, I went to an all girls high school, and I guess I love the empowerment that I must have learned there, I'm assuming. And I also have a really strong mother figure as well. So to be able to empower others, empower other women, and to get to do it through travel, I mean, that's, I don't know, I guess it's really is, when you put it that way, Lisa, kind of like opening my eyes to all this stuff. It really is a blessing to be able to do all of this.
No, I really think you've built something incredible. And it's funny, I'm sure we've talked about it before, but I forgot. But I also went to all girls high school, and I think it makes a difference. Like, the president of the student council, it's a girl. The president of the math club, it's a girl. And but the other thing that I think is so important when you're talking about building the community. So I have a new class, Travel Writer 101, which is, you've seen it. It's an appetizer, all the different pieces you need: social media, video, press trips. And my second class, actually, I would never would have had without you, because when you invited me to speak, you actually gave me a topic, which was how to be a PR maven. And when I opened your email, honestly, my first thought was to write you back and be like, this is not what I'm going to talk about. But I trust you. So I did it. And now that's going to be my second class I'm building.
That's so cool. I love that. And I can't believe that wouldn't have been the first thing that you offered up. I'm like, what are you talking about? I guess I don't know if other conference owners do that. I'm kind of like, yeah, this is what you submitted. This is actually what I think you should be writing about. So I'm glad it worked out with you because I'm doing it to other people. I don't want to feel bad.
No, no, I think you should feel that you have a genius, that you look at people and see what could be. And I think people offer you not necessarily so much of a reach. And so I probably wrote to you about something being brave in my book, and you were like, yeah, yeah, you have a book, but what's amazing that you're doing right now is the promotion of the book. So, related to my book, I have a question I've been asking all my podcast guests, which is there a brave-ish challenge that you've completed that you'd like to share, or is there something that's a reach for you? Obviously, you've got a lot going on. You have these beautiful Airbnbs that you've redesigned, you have a young child, you have multiple businesses, you're a rock star, but is there something else where you're just like, "Oh, if only I could."
I actually do know how to answer that because in reflecting over the over a decade now of, my journey and remembering now that I've been that I started traveling long term in 2008, like, oh my God, that's insane. Like how that's so long ago now. But I don't think it's something about me being brave now. It's really kind of reflecting on the person who did that originally and how brave I was then. And now I look back at like 25-year-old me and kind of like, would I do would I hitchhike through Africa again? Or would I like have been sharing a room with all these strangers that I met while backpacking Southeast Asia? Like I'm just kind of like half of the stuff that I've done, I'm kind of like, would I do that right now? And I don't know. So kind of like looking back at the person who did all these things, I'm like, wow, like you did that? Like, I'm not sure I would do that. Like, that's crazy. So I think just kind of like looking back at the at me, but way over 10, 15 years ago, I'm like, wow, like that's really cool because I don't know if I could do that.
So for the people that are listening, a lot of people say to me, I want to travel like you. I want to be a travel writer, which is why I started that class on Udemy, how to be a travel writer, because people ask me the same thing and I want to help them. But so what inspired you? You were working in fashion, which before you left was or when you started was a dream, and then your dream changed. So for people that maybe have their current dream job but have a new dream, or want to be in travel, or want to come to the conference, is there something that you might say to them about it's worth the risk, or don't give up, or I mean those are platitudes, but is there something that, like, what inspired you to be like one day you're like, I'm going to work again at 8:30 or whatever it was, and now you're like, nope, that's over.
It's always worth the risk. And it's kind of like, well, what's the worst that can happen? And I do want to be very clear. I'm always really clear. Like, I didn't hate my job. I had no problem with my cubicle job. I wanted to be in the fashion industry since I was, as far as I can remember. I wanted to own my own business in the fashion industry as far as I can remember, like literally since I was like 6, 13. Like, had these different business ideas and stuff that I was working on. Even in high school, I had a business. So I always wanted it, and I saw myself climbing up the corporate ladder, in my business, and I loved it. So, I mean, sorry, in my company, and I loved it. But when I took a leap of faith and took some time to myself to travel, I was taking 3 months off. At that point, it was a big deal in 2008. Like, who did that, right? But I was always intending to go back to work. It was always my plan, and that's not the way life worked. Life unfolded in a different way and opened up new opportunities for me. But throughout it all, I really was very focused on kind of paying attention to where things were leading me. So I kind of really operated on my gut, like this feels good, that doesn't feel good, or you know what, I really want this. And with travel, what was the worst thing that can happen? I took 3 months off and I wouldn't have a job when I got back. That actually did happen. So actually, there's that 3 month break I took in between jobs. The job I was going to is like, oh, well, there's a recession now, so we can't hire you anymore. So what did I do? I was in India applying for jobs online somewhere else. Got a job while I was in India. Still, someone hired me, and then I had to say no. So it's just like, well, you know what I mean? Like, what? is the worst that can happen? That's what you have to ask yourself. I didn't come up with that. I asked somebody, I heard that from somebody else and it really made sense. Like a year from now, could you go back to work if you needed to? Anybody could go back to work. I can go to work at McDonald's and get a job. Like there's no reason why you can't, you know what I mean? There's like apparently we have a you can work in anything. You can always start over. You can always go back. Even right now with what happening, what was happening with Travel Fashion Girl, it's like, okay, well, what would I do if Travel Fashion Girl, we couldn't something happened to the business or it evolved, changes with Google, whatnot, we do something else. What are the options? And I think it's scary. That's scary, now it was scary then. But if you want, the most practical way to think about it is just sort of, what are you willing to risk? How much can you take? And obviously that was, me taking that risk as a 25-year-old, woman without kids, a car, I had a car, but I sold it, without kids or a mortgage, that was way easier to do. Now, way more complicated to take that challenge. But now there's a lot more resources than ever before. Now online, you have remote families, you have single mothers, you have women in their 50s, 60s, 70s starting over, whether they had children, whether they don't have children. What's the message right now in 2024? That women can do anything. They're doing everything and they're capable of doing everything. It's a wonderful time to be a woman, and really kind of pave our own way.
That was awesome. Are you running for president? I will vote for you. So I think
No,
one of
but
the
I once said I was going to be the mayor of Los Angeles.
I was just in Canada to see the polar bears and I was staying in Winnipeg and my last name's Niver and 40 minutes from Winnipeg is a town called Niverville, except they say it wrong. They call it Niverville. And so I asked, could I be mayor for the day? So
They
maybe you
like
only want to be mayor for the day of Los Angeles.
I don't want to be mayor anymore, but when I was in high school, I would say that.
So one of the things in when you were speaking, which was brilliant about taking risk, I think the flip of that I used to think about when I left also in 2008, I went for a year, that was if I don't go, how will I feel? Will my regrets outweigh the risk? And I think that's sometimes a piece. And so before I have to let you go, let's talk about how people will be regretful if they don't start participating in Travel Fashion Girl and Women's Travel Fest. So, how can they find out more? How can they get a ticket? How can they get involved? Where do they find you?
Well, travelfashiongirl.com is where they can find out all the information on how to pack, what to wear for anywhere in the world. And it's not about fashion as much as it sounds like. It's really about function. So just we talk a lot about the practicalities of destinations. So don't shy away from the word fashion if you don't feel fashionable or if fashion is not as much of a priority. And then check out our products, Compass Rose Travel Accessories. You can find them on Amazon, and Women's Travel Fest on Instagram or on the website. The conference, the event for Women's Travel Fest is happening in Los Angeles, March 7th through the 9th, 2025. We'd love to have you there. Please, happy to give you a code you can share with your audience.
Oh,
And
perfect. That's a great idea.
hopefully Lisa will have time in her very, 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 very busy schedule, because I've never met someone. I mean, I'm busy, but Lisa is like not just busy like in one place, she's busy in another, I don't even know, country, state, city, every single day she's somewhere else. So hopefully she'll grace me with her presence at Women's Travel Fest again.
I would love to be there. Thank you. And I'd be happy to share a code because everyone should get their tickets right away because the tickets are the best price ticket you'll get is now. They will go up and they will sell out. So if you want to be part of this amazing conference, first time in Los Angeles, you should get a ticket. And of course, you should follow Alex everywhere and Travel Fashion Girl and Women's Travel Fest. And Alex, again, I am so appreciative of you because you made me fashionable. You made me an international speaker, and I'm just delighted to know you and be your friend and be in your community.
Lisa, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have had a chance to be able to reconnect with you a couple of years ago and be able to maintain this friendship with you. I love how supportive you are, and hopefully we can continue supporting one another and being friends.
Thank you.